This week, a hot new bombshell enters the villa.
I'm Shania. I'm a content creator and a manic money spender.
I'm Valerie. I'm a serial entrepreneur and recovering perfectionist. We're here to bring you life and wellness tips, tricks, and hacks from experts
and our personal experiences.
This is the Hot Girls Cry podcast. Hello, we're back with another episode of Hot Girls Cry.
Yeah, we are.
Let's start off with our gratitudes, as always.
As always, I am grateful for this new hair, even though she needs to be fixed a little bit. She's long and luscious right now. And I am grateful for... trying to not say the same thing as I did last episode. I'm grateful for my new nails because they're so cute.
Cute. They are. And a nice little visit to Talia is always nice.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
Love her so much. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for, I'm so grateful for the trip that we're about to have. That was the same as last episode. I'm grateful to have a lot of fun projects that I'm working on today. Although it's a lot of work, they are fun and they are what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. Girly picnics.
And photo shoots.
Yes.
Woo!
Love.
But today we are talking about the very popular subject of sex work.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Oh, that was so sweet.
Everyone's participated, okay? Everyone's had them a little watch of an OnlyFans page or typed in a little Pornhub to the browser, gone to a strip club.
All of the above. We
all of the above
have done it.
Mm-hmm.
But as many people know, like you have been doing OnlyFans full time.
Mm-hmm.
I've dabbled in OnlyFans. I have one. I'm not consistent.
Breaking news.
It is kind of breaking news. It's not a huge thing that I market. But yeah, so we've both kind of done that.
Yeah.
And it's just not at all what people think it is. And there's a lot that goes into it. So we want to dive in today, like with stereotypes and stigmas and the money.
Mm-hmm. All of it. I'm so excited because this is probably one of the number one things that I get asked about is, you know, obviously where my money comes from and how it is. And people, I think, are very interested because it seems like something
it's so taboo.
Mm-hmm, but it also seems really accessible to everyone. Like everyone has a phone. Everyone could upload their own content with this new app that's like, you know, really focused on creators making money.
And I get asked about it a lot, about you. Like I have friends who are always asking like, but what does she do? How does she do it? And I feel like to some people, it's so out of the norm that because they don't really know what it is, that they kind of come up with their own idea of what it is. And it's typically much more shocking and like much different than what it actually is. And then I think that's where they start to change their perspective of people who do it, or they become judgmental, when in reality it's like a job, and like you clock in, you clock out. Like you're not like I always tell my friends that, like the friends who are like so shocked by it, I'm like, she's not out here walking around in fishnets seducing men at the grocery store.
Yeah. And I think because it's like you appear as if you're having fun and you're being sexual on camera, that you actually are.
But that's your personality as a whole.
Yeah. And that's like, I'm having fun and I get to do that for work. And it's like, it's probably just as much of a job to me as it is to you clocking in and sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
Like
you turn on and you turn off.
Exactly. Not to say like there's not fun in those moments, but I want to like get up from the couch where I'm watching Netflix and go put on makeup.
It's still a job. It's still work.
Can I do it? Do I probably end up having fun by the end of it? Sometimes, yeah, but like it's still work. I don't want to do it.
Like there's days where you love your job. There's days where you hate your job.
Yeah.
There's days where it's more work than other days. There's days where you just don't feel like it. Like it's very much clocking in, clocking out. That's one of the reasons I'm so inconsistent is I don't feel like it half the time, or I don't have the time to then put in or whatever. And so I feel like it is just like there's so many misconceptions around it. But I feel like this is one of the only jobs, though, where people harshly judge the person and make it their identity.
Yes.
When you don't meet an accountant and think like, oh, the only thing they're talking about is numbers. The only thing they think about is numbers. There's nothing else I could possibly talk to them about.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden as a sex worker, like that must be just who you are as a person. There must be nothing more to you. And it's just like, why do we do that with sex work only?
When you have a friend who's an accountant or they work at Subway or they do anything else that we as a society deem acceptable or normal
As a job, yeah.
as a job, then that's not the first thing that you lead with when you're talking about them. It might come up like, oh, where do they work? It's not their whole personality as it is whenever you're talking about like, oh, she does OnlyFans, she's a stripper.
Yeah.
And then it's like this like hush hush thing, like, ooh, like let's gossip about
Yeah.
their job.
It's like a very edgy, like exciting thing. And like it is different. And I think that's why people are so intrigued by it, because it's different. It's non-traditional. It's, you know, it's not your corporate ladder, and like you don't need a degree and you can make an incredible money. But it's funny that people can be so interested, but they can also like shit on it so hard.
Exactly. But I think that's why, is because people,
They don't get it.
yeah, people are, I think, just scared of things that are different. And there has been such shame put on women in general for embracing their sexuality. And and it's just so funny to me because we all have sex.
Yeah.
All of us do this thing that is being shamed upon. But for some reason, just because you choose to keep your sexuality private, you now want to expect everyone else to.
Yeah, and then I think it's like a huge double standard with men, because like men go to strip clubs, men go to you know, restaurants, and
Yes, and
they
that's
watch
normal
porn
and
and they watch
acceptable.
OnlyFans. Yeah, and
But the women who do it, no.
but then they also like wouldn't want their daughters doing OnlyFans. They wouldn't want their daughter or whatever, or they feel like it's degrading or whatever. And it's like, but you're funding it, like
Exactly.
like you're the market.
Y'all
Like, you're
are
the reason
literally
it
the
exists.
market.
Like,
And I'm telling you, those guys, the ones that say like, I never want to have a daughter, they are the reason that they never want to have a daughter.
yeah.
It's them.
And like that's probably deep down, like I'm sure there's some sort of psychology behind it of like you think that because you know how men treat women, and you don't want them to
Exactly.
treat your daughter the way you treat women.
Yeah, exactly. Like you literally, it comes from how you perceive women to be treated.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of it comes down to like the unknown. And like we said, like if they don't quite know how it works or what it really is, they come up with their own narrative, and that's what makes them uncomfortable, because it's kind of their worst idea rather than like just it is being what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where, like even with restaurants, it's just any line of sex work, I think it's just kind of still taboo. But that's why we're talking about it today, to
Yes.
inform.
So excited.
So we asked on Instagram what questions people had about sex work, so we could just dive into it a bit more. So one of the first ones is, what are some things you wish you knew when getting started on OnlyFans?
Well, I wish I knew that I had to pay taxes. That's probably the first
business
one.
side.
Yeah, I wish I knew the business side. But before I even started OnlyFans, I was a stripper for a year. So before I started that, you know, there was no taxes to worry about, and
Because it was all cash.
it was all cash. None of it was reported, any of that type of thing. Like there was a little bit of tax at the end of the year,
Yeah.
but nothing substantial.
Like a server.
Yeah, nothing substantial that you would have to pay because you were still 1099. So I wish I had known to hire a good financial advisor, to save for taxes, to have some sort of business plan in place as far as scheduling posting and doing shout out for shout outs and stuff like that, to just treat it as a bit more of a business and just a little structure. I'm not a very structured person in general, so I typically just
And that's one of the perks of the job too.
I typically do just operate like my OnlyFans, and you know, even with stripping, I would decide that day if I wanted to go in. But just known a few of the like strategic things, to just capitalize a bit more, especially when you first start, because that's going to be the most you make because people are interested.
Yeah, and I feel like with that kind of job, whether it's just like the kind of cash in hand type jobs whether it's stripping, serving tables, bartending, like whatever, because you can make money when you want to make money, it's very easy to get out of a structure because you can spend money, make money. And like, I think that can just be very difficult to get out of that. And we both know so many servers who have been servers forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is hard because like, how are you now supposed to adjust to like, and it was really hard for me, like adjusting from serving. And then when I graduated college and got like a more traditional job, like adjusting to hourly pay and getting a paycheck every week and like not making money when I wanted to make more money.
It's insane. I remember I was bartending and I was making like, you know, $300, $400 a night. And, you know, I worked like 3-4 days a week. Then I went to LA Fitness and I tried to be a membership sales accountant, and membership salesperson. And I remember my first paycheck was $400 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Of like 40 hours of 2 weeks. And I was like, get me out of here.
And it's like you don't get the instant gratification, but you also
No.
don't get like the volume. So I feel like if you even just come from serving at any point and then transition to like an hourly job, it's a hard hit. Like it's a really big adjustment.
Yeah. And of course, you're just kind of starting from ground zero, because at any hourly job, you can work up and make more and more and more. But it's just like going from immediately making that good, fast money and then to something a little bit more like
Structured.
Yeah. And just steady growth instead of right then and there.
Yeah. So when you first got started, you wish you knew more about like the business side, the structure and all of that.
Yeah, definitely taxes. I wish, just a bit naive.
Yeah.
A bit living in the fast lane, stuff like that. But what did you wish you knew?
I think I just wish I like kind of saw it more as a job. Like I think like we see influencers and creatives and people who do work like you, where it's like you're beautiful and like you make good money and you almost don't consider all the time that goes into it. And that's been like one of my biggest struggles of even keeping up and maintaining my OnlyFans as a side hustle to my jobs and maybe my businesses, is that you do have to be really consistent. And to be really consistent, you have to set aside hours.
Yeah.
Like it is a matter of posting, but like you have to have stuff to post, and then you have to come up with concepts, and then you have to take the time to shoot that, and then you have to structure it all. So like it is work, and it takes a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time. I think that's one of the big frustrations for me, because everyone comes to me just kind of like willy-nilly, like, should I start an OnlyFans and all of this stuff? And it's like, for me, I just think that it's like anything else. Do you want to start another business?
Yeah.
Because you have to build some sort of following on some sort of platform in order to funnel that into OnlyFans. And that's if you're not doing like, like actual porn, you definitely have to build a following somewhere else. And, you're definitely going to have to work, and you're definitely going to have to just, build that clientele essentially.
I think people see it really surface level, and they see like a pretty girl like you, and then they see that you make good money, and then it's like, oh, well, it's because she's pretty. And then she just makes good money. But it's like you had to build the following. You had to build the customer base. Like you've been doing it for years. Like, and then I have friends who ask me, be like, oh, I'm going to start it, but like, where do I get the followers? And I'm like, well, you got to market yourself. You got to get them.
Go find them.
Yeah. Like you can't just start the account and there's people just there. Like it's just like any other social media platform. So it's like social media, like it's just like becoming an influencer, like you have to build it, and it's not easy.
It's very competitive.
Yeah.
It's very, very
especially
competitive.
now that it's so saturated too.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that being said, the next question is how to start and what to post first.
I would say definitely start your socials first. If you are going full in, you're doing like the whole 9, porn, all of that, I would say look into getting an agency if you don't already have a following, because they will help market you with other girls who basically can shout you out, and y'all can all feed off each other's following and stuff like that. But if you're not doing full nudity, or you're only doing topless, just doing like a bit of the more boudoir, sexy side of OnlyFans, then I would say definitely start building like your following, so people care enough about you to just not like go to your page and instantly see sex, So yeah, definitely start building your page, just start shooting, start getting comfortable in front of the camera, start, brainstorming ideas of what you want, the type of content you want to be on your page. Is it just booty shaking? Is it just like very creative photos? Is it raunchier? Just get a vision.
Yeah. And I think just like you said, it's treating it like a business, like it is work. And so I feel like we kind of did the same thing with the podcast. Like we have a couple episodes that we're recording, and then we know that when we launch, we'll have a couple rollouts. I think the same thing with your page, and like what you even had me do when you helped me start my account was like, okay, let's have a couple posts to put on Instagram and Twitter to say, hey, this is now live.
Yeah.
And then already have a couple posts on OnlyFans that are ready in there, so that when someone subscribes, they have a couple things to see, and then have a couple like pay-per-view messages planned out.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of get it up and running, and then immediately have some flow, and then having some ways of promotion planned. So like obviously you promoted my account when I started it, and then just being able to like talk to a couple people and see if like just have a means to promote it. Like that's the only way you're going to get people and subscribers and then money.
You got to get eyes on you somehow, whether that be like paying for promotion or putting yourself out there or collabing. You just need those eyes on you, because those are your clients.
Yes, for sure. One of the next questions is, did it bother your boyfriend?
So my boyfriend is like an anomaly. I don't know if that's the right word, but he is like the most traditional value, like country boy.
He's
like
a Southern gentleman.
Yeah, he's Christian. He's all of that, but he's so secure in himself that he never mentions it, doesn't, he takes some of my OnlyFans content for me. We don't necessarily like talk about it all the time, and I like to kind of do most of my content making by myself, honestly, because I just feel cringy if I'm doing it in front of him. But no, he's really chill about it, and I think he's more interested in the money side. Like he's, like when I'm taking content, he's like, "How much is that going to make you?" And then he's like, "What?" He's so excited. He's like, "I need to start this OnlyFans stuff."
He's a cheerleader.
Yeah, he's super sweet. So I think it comes down to finding someone who's super secure and appreciates the money aspect of it, and knows that even though you are sharing a piece of you sexually online with people, like, those people are never going to feel your skin. They're never going to squeeze your boob. They're never going to squeeze your ass. They're never going to see certain parts of you don't share on there. They're never going to wake up with you and smell your morning breath. And, I think it's a very like small-minded way of thinking, like, oh, I want you all to myself. Like, you have me all to yourself. Trust me. You know what I mean?
And it's kind of like you said, like, you feel cringy because you're kind of putting on a show, and you're kind of putting on like we said, like, you clock in almost. So it's not you being sexual on the internet with these subscribers in the same way that you would ever be with your partner. So it's not like you're sharing that. It's something completely different where you're kind of clocking in and almost acting. And like it's not like we're doing anything like role play or any like thing like that, but like it's just different.
100%. And like people who do like full porn, they are 100% actresses. They are not orgasming when you think they're orgasming. They are not like, it doesn't feel good, and that's why they're screaming. They're screaming because they want to put on a show for you.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing, You'd be very naive to think like this is genuine.
Yeah. And your boyfriend also knew that you did OnlyFans before y'all started dating as well. So I think it would have been some nerve to come into the relationship and be like, there's a problem with this.
Exactly. I'm very open with the fact that I do that. So anybody who, chooses to come into my life and like be a part of it, it's like, what you're getting into. So it definitely would be some nerve.
Yeah.
But how does your husband feel about you doing on the side?
Yeah. He doesn't really care. My husband's also very, very secure in our relationship. And my husband's like a major feminist. So he's like all about women doing it, whatever they want with their bodies. So he would never, ever, ever try and dictate what I do with my body.
We love to see it.
Love it.
Love it.
My husband and I also have like a very, very trusting, like a abnormally trusting relationship.
Y'all really do. Yeah, y'all really do.
And so he's like totally fine with it. And we're kind of the same. We're like, he'll help me take some content, but like I do most content myself, and it's not like he needs to like oversee it or anything. Because again, like I do feel kind of weird showing him because I'm like, oh, it's so cringy. Because that's like, it's just kind of fake. It's like you're being kind of fake about it.
Yeah, and it's just like someone who actually knows you on a sexual level.
Right, they would know it's fake.
Yeah, they're like, who's this?
Like, it's not like you're watching it and it feels fake. It's like they know it. It's just different. Like,
yeah.
And so he doesn't mind. And like, it's nice to have a little bit of extra money. He's always like mind blown at the concept because I just feel like he's just not the kind of guy that would pay for content like this. And he's not the kind of guy that like sees like he'll go to restaurants with his friends and stuff, but he's not going for the intent of getting attention from a hot girl. Like, obviously seeing hot girls, everyone can appreciate it. Like, obviously. I can go to a restaurant and enjoy like looking at a hot girl. Like,
women
whatever.
are magical.
Yeah, but he just doesn't see the need for men, like, because he's a man who can get attention from women otherwise.
Yeah.
Not like he's walking around like snapping his fingers and getting girls, but like he sees it as a little bit of a different situation than like when a man needs to pay, I guess, for that kind of attention.
Yeah, but I do see what he's talking about, because there are those type of guys on there who are like, that's, kind of going to be the way they are going to get your attention. But I think on the OnlyFans like point, that's a lot of the way. The only way that creators can give you individualized
is
attention,
by having those customers.
So if you like, I even have a girl that I'm obsessed with on OnlyFans. I don't message her because she'll probably see my page and be like, "You're not a guy. Like, what are you talking to me?" But I buy her videos and stuff like that. And for me, I would much rather, if I'm going to go look at sex work or porn or anything, I would rather not sit there and surf through like these videos of, you know, random girls. I don't know if I even am going to like this video or I like this creator or whatever. And then they probably get paid not as well from it. So I just think it's a good platform in that way.
And it's kind of like the purpose of the platform is like you can be a bit like, obviously there's unlimited porn on the internet for free and
everywhere.
Yeah. And so you can find something that's going to turn you on and get you off or whatever. But the whole purpose of OnlyFans is like you find someone who either they're your type or you like their personality or you like their body type or whatever. And then you can feel that connection. Like you said, like you can talk specifically to them. Like you don't watch porn on Pornhub and then message the actress. Like it's just not the same. And so it's a different level of connecting with someone. So like, and I can see the value in that to a subscriber, but like that's kind of what sets it apart that from any other sex work really is like, that's what you're paying for. You get that time, you get that connection. And so it is valuable and like, it makes sense.
The money goes in the actual creator's hands instead of like a conglomerate company.
Yeah. And that's like one thing we always talk about is like it is empowering and like there's a whole controversy around it, but like because a lot of people think sex work is degrading or it's a last resort or it's like for women who don't have another option, but like it's really empowering to be able to choose when you're being sexualized and then because women are sexualized day in and day out everywhere we go. Like you can't go to the gas station without someone looking saying like something.
Oh, don't get me started on this topic.
But when you can control and almost consent to it when you want to.
Exactly.
And decide like, I am being sexual right now and you can see it in that way, but you're going to pay me for it.
Exactly.
Empowering.
Would I be upset if I'm choosing to post myself on this site and have people stare at me from this picture? I consent to that. I say yes. Would I be upset if I was at a bikini contest and I'm up there and everyone's staring at me, hollering at me? No. Would I be upset if I'm at a freaking gas station, minding my business, choosing which Doritos I want, and someone's like, damn that ass? Yes.
Yep. And women deal with that.
Place.
Yeah, like day in and day out. And so I feel like it's funny because I feel like even men sometimes will like shame sex work when it's like, you're the reason, like you're sexualizing me. I'm just telling you, here is when you're going to sexualize me and you're going to give me $20
They don't want
for
the control taken out of their hands. That's what it is. They don't want you to be able to dictate anything.
It's almost like they feel like they're owed it or when and where.
Exactly.
And then when we turn around and tell them when and where, they're like, no.
Yeah, no. You ain't going to tell me. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, they're the worst.
The audacity.
Yes, so much audacity, these men. But that's a whole topic we could dive into is the
100%.
feminist side. But that's a big part of like why I personally believe it's like really empowering to like decide and choose when you're being sexualized. And I think like a lot of the women in the sex work industry, like they don't feel degraded. They don't feel manipulated or anything because you're deciding like, okay, I'm clocking in now.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously there is a psychological point to it, but it doesn't come from like, oh, I don't feel self-worth.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Anything, it comes from I'm worried about what other people are going to think of me because it's, you know, there's a stigma.
Well, that being said, what is the hardest thing about having an OnlyFans?
Definitely the stigma, like worrying about what are other people thinking about, what can I bring it up? Can I tell someone?
Yeah.
You know, in what situations do I need to lie about what I do for work?
Could you pick and choose, like when you tell people?
Oh, absolutely. I don't tell just random strangers. Like, I would never.
And why? Because
Because you have no idea what's going through their mind when you say that. You don't know if they're going to be accepting of it. You don't know if they're
because you know they could just go down the rabbit hole immediately.
Yeah, or if they're going to turn around and like tell everyone, now you're going to be a talking point in their lives of like not good conversations either, you know? And it's just, I do understand it from that point because it's a sexual job. Yeah. And that's not always appropriate for every situation. Yeah. So I get that. But
like you don't go and tell grandma.
No, definitely not. And, you know, as the younger generations come up, like it is getting more normalized. And, you know, if I was a grandma probably down the line and somebody told me that it's probably going to be to that point in the future that it's normalized and celebrated or whatever. Yeah. But definitely older generations hold a lot more traditional values and like, you do this, this, and this, and this, and this is how you live your life. And there's nothing else. You can't be different than that or else it's shameful.
Yeah. Like we know and we believe there's nothing wrong with it. Women can do whatever they want. You can have any line of work you want. There's no shame in it.
Yeah.
But we also know that people will shame it and people do judge it and people do do see it differently. So it's also like that affects how you carry it. Like you can't just walk around day in and day out and be like, oh, it's fine. Like this is what I do, even though we know it is. Like, because for me, like I've never had a problem with it. Like, and like you do it full time. I've done OnlyFans like over years now, very inconsistently. But like even
she hops on when she wants.
Yeah, basically when I find a minute. But even for me, like I truly don't believe there's anything wrong with it or shameful in it. And I still don't like broadcast that I do it because I worry like people see me as a business owner and they know that my primary thing is like I run these businesses in this marketing agency and I'm a professional entrepreneur and I want to maintain that, you know, reputation. And it sucks because like I know that if certain people see that I do OnlyFans on the side, that even though they could have had all this respect for me and seen me as this intelligent business owner and this hardworking young woman, that if they now pair that with even just the title of sex work, even though I don't do anything nudity or anything like that, like it immediately takes away from all those other qualities that they had for me.
When in reality, they know you have sex.
Right.
So it's like, what's the difference?
And like, it's just funny that like you can see me and have all these things and then it takes away just because of this one other thing that I do a couple hours a month when I find the time.
And also, it's, if anything, such a smart thing to do financially.
Multiple streams of income.
Such a smart thing to do. And that's kind of, especially I feel like whenever I moved to Dallas, in Texas in general, it hit me a lot harder because in LA, it was so normalized and it was almost like, if you don't have an OnlyFans, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're hot and young. What are you doing? Get on this train before it leaves you. Like, take advantage, capitalize, get that money. Like, it gave me so much freedom, especially coming from a place where I was dancing, having to go and actually physically be grabbed on and like feel these people's energy and all of that in person. And then coming and into OnlyFans, it literally,
the safety of your home.
Literally, it was life-changing for me. It made life-changing money.
And just with the internet in general, like as a platform, being able to have that expanded reach compared to being at a strip club where you're, you know, isolated to the people that are in the building, you know, being able to be on the internet is huge.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of like love for stripping. I look back at that time like so fondly. Like I don't look back at that time like, oh, I hated when I was like, I loved when I was a stripper. It was so fun. Like I got to work out for a living and made lots of money, chose my own schedule, all this stuff. But it's like,
there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, but just being in LA, I felt like it was celebrated and people were more interested than judgy. Yeah. And here I've definitely had to just think about it a lot more because I feel the traditional values. You know, I feel them crushing upon me.
Yeah. And I feel like it's just interesting how different it is because like with you doing it full time and that being your job, I feel like you still get a different reaction than I do running a business and doing it on the side. And it's like, but why, what's different here? Like, just because it's your full time and it's something, but it's like people still judge for whatever reason. And I feel like it can take away. And like we said, like we don't see anything wrong with it, but then it still sucks because it's like we know that some people will judge about it.
And I don't blame people for judging. You only know what you know. Yeah. And all people know in, you know, these places are just like what they've been taught, and what they've been taught is to suppress their own sexuality. Yeah. So it's like whenever
keep it private.
Whenever they hear of someone else doing it, that's all they know is to judge and to be like, that's shameful. Don't do that. That's bad. You know?
Yeah. No, that's so true. The next question that we have is, how do you work even on days when you're not feeling confident?
I think you should go first.
I just don't.
Like, for me, I don't log on.
Yeah, because I'm so inconsistent with it that like if I'm not up for it, I really can't. And I still really struggle with my body image and with it being heavily revolved around how my body looks. It is hard, but I do also feel like OnlyFans really helped with my body confidence, and because it made me feel like everybody is beautiful. Yes. And although I don't need validation from men, it is still validating to feel sought after and wanted and like enamored, I guess, like in your body at any stage. Of course,
because you're choosing to be sexualized in that way. And then when you choose to do it and then you're celebrated for it, it's like, okay, this is gratifying.
Because I spent a long time being like, I'm not in good enough shape. I'm not in good enough shape. Like, I don't look good enough to do it. And then when I started doing it and realized like people love that I'm a bit more curvy or a bit more thick or whatever, I was like, oh, like there's someone for everyone. And like, not that I'm seeking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I'm not seeking that. Like, I don't need to know that from men that like, oh, you still look good. But it did make me feel better knowing like in this body, it's still hot, you know, and like I still look good and I still feel good.
Yeah.
And like my husband makes me feel great and like he loves my body and like that's all great. And like I would love to have that for myself at all times, but sometimes we don't. But yeah, in general, I don't really hop on if I'm not feeling confident, but I haven't also gotten a lot more confident at any stage in my body because I'm like, well, I still look great. And at the end of the day, too, ass and titties are ass and titties.
And that's facts, okay? And that is facts. And like you said, there's something for everyone. Not everyone likes the same
body type.
You know, commercialized Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah. And I think that also is like part of the stigma is like we're really, as women, we're shamed for not being a certain standard. And so I feel like platforms like OnlyFans have really helped a lot of women probably get out of that and realize like you don't have to look like a porn star to make good money or to be considered hot or to be considered sexy.
No.
Like there's so many different beautiful bodies that, you know, so many people different appreciate.
Yeah, of course. I 100% agree. And I feel like whenever I always say whenever I started dancing, that was when I like actually realized the power like my beauty had, like truly, because I mean I always felt confident and everything, but I never like I didn't really feel that hot until I started dancing and I was like, oh, this is a weapon.
Yeah,
got it.
That's how it was working at Hooters for me when I was 18. Like I was like, wow, like we can leverage this. Like,
oh yeah,
it doesn't.
Oh yeah,
because I remember even being in college and when one of my professors found out that I was working at Twin Peaks, she was like, don't sleep your way to the top. And then I remember she like told the entire class, like, she said some people here will get jobs because of their looks and some people will get jobs because of their experience, and was like very much directed at me. And I'm just thinking like, so what if I can use it as a step up and I can get a job for my looks, but then I'm smart enough and good enough to keep it. Like I'm not going to now take a step back and be like, well, I look too good. Don't give me the opportunity. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to dumb down my looks to make you comfortable.
Right. And so, but it's like being able to have it twofold where like, I can get the job for my looks and then keep it because I'm good enough. Like that's powerful too.
Yeah, exactly. Beauty and brains, babe. Just because you have one doesn't mean you don't have the other.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. What was the question again?
Working on days when you're not feeling confident.
Oh, that is really hard. It is really hard. And I will either do the bare minimum, you know, like not show my face or, you know, just do like close-ups of my booty or something like that, or feet pictures, or, you know, just try to make it work within what I have, how I'm feeling. My life revolves around my spray tan, so it typically is like the last couple days that I don't have a spray tan anymore. I'm feeling very unconfident, like not very toned or whatever. So I either make sure I batch content on days that I'm feeling really good and all of that, but a lot of times I don't do that. So I either recycle content and I will put a preview so people know that this is an old video, or I'll say like resend and stuff like that so I can recycle content from days that I was feeling good.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of brings us to part of one of the questions that was asked is like, how is it having your looks and your success kind of attached to, or having your looks attached to your success or attached to your money or your value?
I started feeling this really heavily like 4 or 5 years ago when I very first moved to Frisco, because before that point, I was doing it for me. I was going to the gym for me and I wanted to look good for me. And then I reached a point where like I just felt so controlled. Like I just, it wasn't that I was doing it for me. I just knew I had to keep going. I knew I had to like continue being the hottest version of myself because it was my job. And it's a hard part of the job, but I always just try to remind myself that like I enjoy being as, you know, hot and as beautiful and the best version of myself possible. So I try to just remember that I am doing it for myself, even though, you know, sometimes it is just because I have to. It's my job. I have to go to the gym today. I have to eat good today. I have to drink enough water today. And I try to reframe it in my mind as a perk, but sometimes it does feel a little dragging.
Because it can be hard. And like I've even seen for you, like it can be hard to have like a whole day off or like, you know, a potato day or just, you know, if you want to take a break from nails or like just like the simple things that like the average woman can do. And like obviously that's not the kind of things that will necessarily make or break you. But when your entire job, whether it's like being an influencer and bartending and OnlyFans, it's like it all is based on like people seeing you and looking at you.
The visual of your being, which is like, you know, 10% of who someone actually is. But yeah, it is hard. It definitely is hard. And it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's really freaking expensive to like be a very high maintenance person. And obviously you don't have to be by any means. But like there is certain things that you do have to do. You know, you have to go to the gym and not you have to.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like I feel like I have to do.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like it doesn't affect me the same way because I have my other jobs that don't rely on my looks at all. And so being able to have that validation of like, I am smart, I am creative, I am hardworking, and all these other ways that have nothing to do with my looks, it really helps with that. But I remember when I started working at like Hooters and Twin Peaks and stuff, and I started to realize, like we said, like how much money you can make and the attention you can get and like how exciting that is to get all of that validation and attention. And I remember like you get carried away and like you start to do the things that all the other girls are doing. Like you want to get the extensions, you want to get your boobs done, like you want to do all these things to kind of keep up with the game.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah. And it's a lot.
With the fixes. Yeah. It's like you definitely overanalyze every part of your body, every little scar, every little spray tan patch, every little frizzy hair. Like definitely your body is your product.
Yeah.
And
that can be a lot.
It can be a lot. It really can be a lot, especially doing it over time. And you definitely feel like you're expiring at a certain age and you're not like...
Because there's still a lot of societal standards that just apply like inherently. Like you're not going to go work at like a restaurant at 40, you know?
No.
And like that's just kind of part of it. But I think that's still like one of the perks of OnlyFans is like there's someone for every one, you know?
Yeah. I follow this girl on TikTok who's like 45 and she is so hot.
I just remember being at Twin Peaks and then saying that 27 was when you have to retire. And like... I know.
This year's the year.
I just remember that being like a running joke because we were all like 18, 19. And then we were like, we won't be here in 10 years because that's like so old.
I literally said the same thing. I literally said the same
shit.
thing. I mean, you do. And then you talk shit about the girls who are older and still doing it. And then you know, karma comes right back around to get you. Comes right back around to get you, baby.
That's so true. One of the other questions is how much money do you make?
I don't make as much as I used to. I used to make around 30 grand a month, every month on OnlyFans. And now I do like 14 to 15, which is so lucky, so blessed to make that much. Like, thank you, universe. I would like to make more, of course. But I think my Instagram being shadow banned for so long has like stifled my reach a lot because new eyes can't see me because my Instagram has been shadow banned. But honestly, my engagement's still pretty damn good for being shadow banned for literally 4 years. So let me just hype myself up really quick. And I have some loyal ass people, like some loyal ass fans that are still like, you know, there from other platforms and just have been there the whole time. So yeah, I'm very thankful.
And I feel like the market also got really saturated around the pandemic. Like I feel like when the pandemic happened, so many people hopped on OnlyFans, like people who were stripping or doing porn because with the pandemic, like they couldn't physically go to work. So a lot of people had to hop on. But then I also feel like a lot of celebrities hopped on too. Yeah. And so I think that kind of made the everyday person who didn't have like celebrity status kind of less popular on OnlyFans because so many people could see like their favorite celebrity doing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that made a difference for everyone too.
Yeah. I think the amount of money you can make is limitless.
Yeah.
But I do think you have to be realistic about, you know, the amount of work you're putting in versus how much you make. And that's another thing. These past 2 years, I've been kind of getting a little, not super burnt out, but just a little bit like burnt out. And I feel like it's not even that I'm burnt out on OnlyFans. I've just been like burnt out of going to the gym and stuff like that. And recently I've been feeling a lot better. But I think just like there's going to be ebbs and flows, especially when you're body is your commodity.
Yeah. Do you want to share how many like subscribers you had when you were making like the most money, and then how many how many you have like now?
Sure. I had about 1.2K whenever I was making the most. And then now I have about 600. So about half. But it ebbs and flows. Like some months I'll have 800, some months I'll hit 1K again. But I think it like the 600 is like the loyal people who don't really go anywhere.
And I feel like people don't get like where the money even comes from on OnlyFans. So like in general, there's like the subscription fee that every subscriber pays, but then there's the pay-per-view content, and that's where it can really compound.
Oh, that's where the money is made, because the $5 that gets you in, that's like $2 per
I think
person,
people
because
hear
OnlyFans takes a cut.
Yeah, like I feel people hear that these girls are making, you know, 30, 50, 100K a month, and they're like, but what in the world? Like, how is that even a thing? And they think that they're doing something outrageous to achieve that, but it's just math. Like, if you've got 1,000 subscribers and they're all paying $10 a month, but then on top of that, you're sending out 3 pay-per-view messages a week, and then half of your subscribers are buying those messages for $5 a message 3 times a week. It all adds up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think I just remember the first month I started, and I think I made like 10 grand, and that was equivalent to what I was making dancing. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I was like, what is going on? And then I made like 12, 14, 16, and I was like,
well, I remember
what is going on?
Being at your place in LA before I started it, and you told me that you like made a video real quick, and I was like, oh, how much do you sell that for? And you're like $50, and I was like, oh, about how many people buy it? And you're like 100, and I was like, what? I was like, so you just made $5,000?
That's what Josh is like. What are you going to sell this for? Like $25? How many people are going to buy it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is weird.
And even for me, because like I said, I've been so inconsistent, but when I was most consistent during the pandemic, because I had so much more time on my hands and like I was working less and I wanted to make some more money, I maybe had at most, I think maybe 20 subscribers. Like I think that's probably the most I've ever had, because I said, I haven't promoted it heavily on any of my platforms.
Like ever, y'all. Like I'm telling you,
like ever. Like it's such a hush hush, and like it's always been like that really interesting balance of like, what will people that know my business think? And like I'm not hiding it, like I'm not ashamed of it, but like I just don't broadcast it. So I think the most I ever had was like 20 subscribers, but during the pandemic I was making like $2,000 a month just from those 20. And now I probably fluctuate from like 5 to 15 subscribers and fluctuate from like 500 to $2,000 a month, and like I'll take that because it's very much a side hustle.
Trying.
Yeah, like, and when I tell you I'm not trying, I'm talking like one Sunday every month I'll make a ton of content for the week and then like spread that out over a month. Like my poor subscribers. they don't get much from me, but when they do, they love it.
They're like,
she's here. But I talk to my subscribers and I message them, and so I feel like I have a couple, like I probably have like 5 or 6 that are like really loyal, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get those people, and like you said, there's someone for everybody, and there's someone who's gonna like see you and be like, wow, love her, let me praise her, you know, let me give her all my money for anything she wants.
But when you think about it, like how little I promote mine and how little I work on mine, and to still make $500 or $2,000 a month, like that's great. And so like the money can be made, and it's so accessible. So like when you put in the work like you do, like it just shows like you can really do a lot with it. I think people just don't see it like that.
Yeah. I think it's hard to see yourself on camera. And I think that's step one. Like if you can't come to terms with that, then it's just not the avenue for you. But if you can, and that's like something you're into, then it's definitely a good extra source of income.
And you're going to come out with a course on it, aren't you? On how to get started, aren't you?
Yes, Val is
forcing her.
Yes.
Because how great would that be to have? Because you've helped so many people start there. So I think like just having a nice little ebook that rounds it out of like, here's how to get started, here's how to make your account, here's the content to make up front. And then, you know, a part 2 little ebook for the people who are a bit more seasoned, but want to get to a status like you where it's like your full time, and just giving your tips and tricks. Like,
okay, I'm gonna do it.
Your experience is so valuable.
I'm saying it here and now. I'll do it. Yes. I will make an ebook.
Well, that's all the questions that we have. Is there anything else that you feel like is important to share about OnlyFans that people maybe don't know?
No, I think we pretty much touched on it all. I mean, don't judge your neighbor. Mind your own business.
Mind your own business.
If it's not hurting anybody, it's not hurting anybody. And celebrate your sexuality, even if it's not on OnlyFans.
In the way that you want.
Yeah, be sure, just even if it's not on OnlyFans, even if you don't make money off of it, like celebrate your sexiness, whatever stage you're in. You know, we all are sexual beings. It's in our nature. And you're sexy no matter what stage, age, or whatever your body's in.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would add, because I get a lot of people who are interested, but like they're very overwhelmed by the concept, is that like you don't have to do porn to be on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like neither of us do porn.
Neither of us do porn.
And you can really choose how much or how little you want to do on there. And at the end of the day, it's always your body and you can always say no. So I think that's like, I think that can kind of be an overwhelming thing when you start to make money on there, is like you start to get caught up in like, well, if I just do this, I can make more money. If I just do this, like, or well, he's asking for this, I can just do that this one time or whatever.
I would 100% say that. Like, I started out not showing anything and now I do topless, which I don't mind at all. I'm like very happy I went down there because I'm very much like, I think women should be able to walk around the pool breasts
Free the
out,
nipple.
100%. But I have stuck a lot to like what I said I wouldn't do, and I get pressured every single day to do more.
And the same person. It'll be the same person asking over and over, like,
over
send me a nude, send me a nude, send me a nude every day. And I can, and at the end of the day, it's your body, it's your account, it's your money. So you can just say, no, I don't do that. And that's it.
100%.
Like, you don't have to. And I feel like that's what so many women are like, well, what do you do when they ask for that? And I'm like, I say no.
You say, no, sorry, baby. I have this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll make you smile. Winky face.
Yeah. So I think that's just like, just a little bit of reassurance that like you don't have to do anything full on if you don't want to. So if you wanted to do OnlyFans as like a little side hustle, it's totally up to your discretion what you do in general. Like always, it's always your body, always your discretion, always your money. And you can say no, you can block someone, like whatever you got to do.
Yeah, don't ever feel like the money is worth you doing something
that you don't want
that you're not comfortable with being on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Just remember that. Does this amount of money make me comfortable with doing something that will put this on of my body on the internet forever?
Amen.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb for life.
Yeah, basically. Don't get too drunk at a bar and do something like that. Just kidding.
If we learned anything from Kim K. No,
yeah. No, honestly, take some freaking notes.
Well, I think that's everything we have for this episode. So hopefully that was super valuable and informative for everyone.
Yeah, thanks for asking us questions and everything. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Hot Girls Cry podcast.
If you've enjoyed this episode, show some love and support with a rating and review.
Or keep the conversation going over on our socials.
TTYL.